Machining, not a whole lot. This thing sprays out, so probably not a good idea to stand right there. So 40 more. So for your process sheet, let me talk about that real quick. For your process sheet, we're using what's called a right-hand turning tool, okay? It's a carbide turning tool, so you're going to want to note that. Speed, as far as RPM goes, our RPM right now is, we are C, so we're at 400 RPM, looks like. Yeah, so the arrow is pointing at that line, and where C is pointing here, so it's C4, or C400, there we go. So we're at 400 RPM. The way you get the different speeds is, of course, if I want my fastest speed 1400, I would simply move this here to the, oh no, actually at 1400 RPM, I thought it was we're at 1400 RPM. If I wanted 400 RPM, I would move it to that position right there, and it should be a bit slower. So we're at 1400, not max speed. So if I wanted 2000, I'd leave it where it's at and shift this to B, and I get 2000 RPM. So 1400 is a good speed for this diameter. The problem with the lathe is, as my diameter changes, I have to constantly recalculate my speed to make sure I keep up with my surface speed. Remember, like with our drills, we pick out a surface speed, say 250, plug that into our equation and get that out. We're always trying to satisfy and stay at around that surface speed, because that's the ideal speed, linear speed. Well, when we're working here, if I want to keep at 200 surface feet per minute, I have to constantly change my diameter and my RPM to suit, right? So the RPM is the variable in this equation. All right, here we go. These metal chips are going to be pretty hot coming off here. One other thing of note, when you get to the end of your part, try to disengage the feed before the carriage hits the stop. Okay? If you don't, they come into a bind and it will tend to push the stop out of the way. Right? It doesn't hurt anything unless this is really, really tight, and it could break a gear. So if that happens, holler at me. We can run the machine in reverse and get it back away from the stops before it hurts anything. So notice the metal chips are starting to get longer. It's time to stop and take a look. So this is nearly round. I've just only got a couple of flat spots. So I may take another, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna let it go, do a couple of what I call spring passes. Not gonna take any extra, because I'm really close. Just wanna screw it up a little bit. And more I'll do it. Good enough. All right, so this is round enough for me to actually take a measurement. Now, I could grab a caliper here. I could try to come in here and measure like this. This is kind of awkward, but in this instance, I have a choice. Our other part we're going to be working on, we don't have a choice. We'll have to measure it like that. But in this instance, I'm not quite finished yet. This isn't terribly hot. I'm going to take it out of my machine because I can put it back in and nothing will change, right? And get me a base measure. So, and again, this is where that inner reference line helps us. We're not quite there yet. We're getting close. And I'm just going to make sure I measure across a diameter. And so this says I'm exactly on 3 inches. I think it's lying. It is. No, maybe not. It's a little over 3 inches. So it says 3 inches, 2 thousandths. Okay. And so my target is 875 to 875 roughly. So I need to take off another 125 roughly to get where I'm going. So this is just rough measure because I'm not going to take it all the way down to finished size. Just like we do on the mills, we want to leave ourselves a little extra. So I'm going to take 100 in total and then remeasure it and see how much I got left to get down to my target. Just sneak up on, try to get as close to it as I can. So same thing as before. I'm going to bring it in there and leave it a little loose. Start the machine up, and then there we go. All right, now you can either work from where you're at here if you want to, or in my case, I'm close enough to 0. I'm going to just reset to 0, and I know I want to take 100 off the diameter, so I'm going to do 40. Now, when you see this kind of stuff appearing, this can sometimes get wrapped up in here, okay? Make sure, of course, the machine is off. I encourage you to use a pencil or something to pick it out of there. Try not to grab it directly and yank on it. This is a handful of razor blades, is what this is. And if you want to get a really bad cut, this will do it for you instantly. So, but do get this out of the way because it'll swarm up on you. And there's 12 or 100 on the dot. Okay, so you can tell our part is now completely round. It is a true circle, okay? I can take a measure like this if I want to. Okay, now this is about at the limit of my caliper in terms of diameter. I can take this out, which I'm going to do. I'm at exactly 100 indicated on my dial, so I'm not going to touch that because I'm really close to being finished. This might be a little hot, so you may have to let it cool. This one's smoking hot. So I'm at 2 inches, 907. So how much do I need to take off? So 875 to 9 is 25, right? Plus 6, 7, right? So 32 total, right? And so I'm not going to take all 32. I'm going to take 20 and then 12, just to make my last cut smooth as possible. Again, leaving it loose. So we're really close to our diameter. So if we look at this dial here, we'll elaborate a little bit. So as I mentioned, 2 thousandths per division. So this can be a little disconcerting. So if I look here, so the distance between here and here is 20, right? So if I want to do 10, I would go halfway between here and here. Because that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Be very careful about that, because you're so used to the mills and you're so used to each division being 1 thousandths, it's really easy to go over, right? And so I wanted to go 30. So in my case, I'm going to go 20, and then I'm going to count past it. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then 12 would put me right about there. So it's always a good idea to stop, do a sanity check, make sure about how much you're going to be taking off before you just step into it and take it. Right? Okay. So in my case, there's 20. That's what I'm talking about. So just let it go, it's not gonna hurt anything. I almost did what I told you guys not to. So it's ratted up in there, and if I wanted to cut myself really bad, I would try to get in there and my fingers, but that's where a pen or a pencil will kind of handy. Just do that, just kind of break it up. Try not to get it under your finger. And then, so that's 20, 32. I'm not going to bother remeasuring. I've got plenty of tolerance. That's a 2 decimal place number. I could be off 10 thousandths in either direction, still be happy. So as far as I'm concerned, this part is now done.